Hello, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. It's Friday night. It's Friday.
Please don't.
Well, you don't dig on Rebecca Black?
Oh, dude, no. That's the reason why.
All right. I guess not. Well, hello, everybody. It's Friday night. We've got a show going.
Yep.
We promised to keep the cursing to a minimum this time.
Maybe.
We were a little pissed off on Monday.
So
However, it's a Friday. JR and I have put in enough hours to validate Liquid Dinner Friday night. As always, I am rocking the Broken Skull IPA, El Segundo Brewing Company, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm full wrestling tonight.
Yeah.
I'm a total mark tonight. JR is rocking the Casamigos. That is some good shit. Now, if JR wanted to keep with the theme, he would have some Terramana tequila.
You know, you keep on saying that the last couple of times you've been talking, my friend, and even though you keep on saying that, I can't find it because that motherfucker is sold out, and as the first curse word of the podcast, because that motherfucker is really sold out.
We're going to talk about Sony today.
Yep.
By the way, I would be rude for those of you who don't know us. Shame on you, because we're cool people. We are the coolest people because we don't believe in our own shit. Like we're just like, dude, we're a couple nerds that want to talk freaking comic books. Speaking of which, if I can find his little chingadera there it is. He is Jared Kambakungan, also not Jared Comics 42 on Instagram, only because the dude has not figured out yet Facebook.
No, I figured out Facebook, and I figured to stay the hell away from it.
We're gonna get him on Facebook again, and we're just gonna get him on Facebook, and then he's just gonna we'll just share it for him. Anyways, but you don't do much of Twitter, do you?
I mean, I'm on it. I lurk. It's just that, like, you know, I try to stay off that too. You know, It's like it's the same thing with like Twitter's for young kids and Facebook's for the old people, and so it's very much the same degrees of, like, you know, crap you don't want to deal with. Yeah. And so that's how it usually is for me.
However, you can find me on all social media platforms at Voice of Reason 23, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. The only thing that hasn't some tool bag took. Of all things, some tool bag took Voice of Reason 23 on Twitch. Ass. And the tool bag might be me and just forgot his fucking password. Which is showing that I'm one of the old guys that belongs on Facebook. But nonetheless, true Voice of Reason 23 on Twitch. But guess what, JR?
What's up, man?
We're on Twitch now. What's up, Twitch? PS Comics I Love You on twitch.tv.
Yep.
Badass. And we are coming to you not only on Facebook, not only on YouTube, not only on Twitter. We're coming to you on twitch.tv.
Yes,
of course, True Voice of Reason 23 and PS Comics I Love You on twitch.tv. And guess what? JR has promised that he will go full freaking flex with his PS5 someday very soon on twitch.tv. Me, on the other hand, dude, just straight up going to bring you some Pokemon Go. That's how I roll, bro.
Well, we'll try to see how to figure that out, man. See what games I can possibly play on there. I do know, hopefully, with some games we're talking about, how dare you, that is coming out, that I do want to keep it Sony focused, because, like, one of the games that is coming out pretty soon actually is is supposed to be one of the big hitters of the early quarter of this year, and so that is Horizon Horizon Forbidden West, man. And I'm a big fan of the first game. Second game looks freaking stellar, and so hopefully I can get that game pretty soon. And it comes out, I think, a couple days from now, actually. So
well, let's real quick before we get right into what our opinions are on this Sony deal, and I know we're a few days late, but we wanted to kind of compile everything. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. Book of Boba Fett. Next week is the final episode. JR and I want desperately just to talk about episode 6.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Next week is probably just going to be episodes 5 and 6, unless 7, which is the series finale, just goes
There's so many theories I have in my head about it, and like just to talk briefly on it. I think there's a lot of criticism going on for episode 6. There's a lot of criticism going on to episode 6 because of how, like, it's called Book of Boba Fett, but Boba Fett's barely there. I'm like, homie, you obviously have not been paying attention to Star Wars the last, or like actual legitimate Star Wars from Filoni and from George Lucas the last 10 years, because you understand why a lot of those characters appeared in that in the recent episode. It is a culmination. It is effective world building that has come to an accumulation. It's basically episode 6 for me, and I've posted out on his Facebook, right? One of the very few times I posted out. And he said that Kevin here has said that episode 6 is probably one of the best episodes that come out of any Star Wars ever. I go, no. I also go, but I added to that remark. Episode 6 is probably the best that can come out of Sony,
Disney Plus.
Of Disney Plus ever.
My comment, what Jared said was was that this was the best Star Wars content to be on Disney Plus since its launch, which includes Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 and Book of Boba Fett. Which, by the way, that says a lot because Mandalorian was the flagship. That was getting people in the door. Remember, Disney Plus is only 3 years old.
Yeah.
However, Disney Plus is 3 years old. Like, look at what they've accomplished since the fall of 2019. The Mandalorian season 1 was a game changer.
Yeah.
For what Disney Plus was as a platform. Yeah. What Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau could do with the new extended universe of the Star Wars world.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's just say episode 6 pulls not only from the prequel trilogies, not only from the original trilogy, not only from the sequel trilogies, not only from multiple hold on before I go any further. Not only from multiple animated series, but from the comic books and the Star Wars, what do they call it, the Legacy saga, the
extended universe, which is now called the Legacy.
The Legacy
now. Yeah.
So this Dave Filoni hit the ultimate home run with episode 6, and we will talk about it next week. We could do an entire episode just on episode 6. Yeah. We're going to try to condense episodes 5, our opinions on episodes 5, 6, and 7. But Jared's right.
I'm just going to say this. The people who are criticizing episode 6 because it didn't have Boba in most of the last 2 episodes, right? And saying like it's a bunch of like quote unquote fan service. Is it probably from the exact same people who didn't watch the very first few runs of the of phase 1 and 2 of Marvel and only watched Avengers? I just say that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I wholeheartedly, because there's a bunch of people that will say the same thing. You watch Avengers, all 4 Avengers films, which tried desperately to make them standalone films, but at the same time, and be their own quadruplets of sequels.
Yeah.
But at the same time, be part of the extended Marvel universe. So Jared's right, though. Going back, think about this as we approach the anniversary, if we're not already there, of WandaVision, which was the really and truly the second tentpole content on Disney Plus between the 2 big studios, being Marvel Studios and Lucasfilms, that are a part of Disney. I mean, sure, Disney had movies and stuff that kind of came out, but
Disney Plus just sucked the first year. They didn't have shit.
All they had was the Mandalorian, and after Baby Yoda, it was just like, what else you got? And there's some small stuff, but for us, for the nerds, it ended when that last episode ended with Mandalorian season 1. It was like,
what else?
We want more. And then of course that was in fall of 2019. What happens 3 months later? Pandemic, stuff gets shut down. We were supposed to get people don't realize we were supposed to get WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, and
a bunch of other shows
I
pretty
I
early
know for
on.
a fact it was those four because we
Yeah,
really and truly weren't supposed to get What If until when we got What If. But
yeah,
WandaVision, Falcon the Winter Soldier, Loki, and Hawkeye were all supposed to come out in 2020 in their quadrants. WandaVision was going to be first, leading right into Doctor Strange. Loki and Falcon the Winter Soldier, and then of course, like it ended up being, it was a Christmas film or a Christmas
yeah,
show. Hawkeye was supposed to be in the show, but they tweaked it around, and everything ended up working out and being great. Anyways, we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about Book of Boba Fett and its first season, if it's ends up
yeah.
being the only season. We'll talk about what it sets up for Mandalorian season 3. Again, spoiler alert for those of you listening to us on the audio format. Again, I want to say welcome everyone on twitch.tv, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for watches. But for now, let's get into business. So, sorry for those of you who are listening to this late and going, why was this on Talking Tech? I forgot to program Talking Tech's Facebook page on this. So I'll share it to Talking Tech when we're done. But nonetheless, we're going to talk a little business, and this is how it affects nerds. And well, it's pretty obvious how it affects nerds. We're talking about Sony's acquisition of one of the largest video game studios in the world, with one of the most successful, two of the most successful video game franchises in modern video game history, if not of all time. And we're talking, of course, Sony's acquisition of Bungie Studios. Now, we literally, JR, were talking about Bungie and Sony and Xbox and Microsoft a week ago when Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard. And we're like, this is a big deal. What does Activision have? Call of Duty. Did Microsoft just make Call of Duty exclusive to the Xbox platform? What does this mean? Of course, when we even said this is a console that has exclusivity to Halo and has prided themselves on that for over 2 decades, nearly 3 now. And then 5 days later, Sony throws down 6 bills and buys Bungie. As we literally talked about before, Amazon, Apple, Disney, are they going to buy Sony? Well, right now it's going to cost you triple digits in the billions to get Sony. But what was your reaction when you heard the news? Well, I sent it to you, and you're like, "Well, this changes the script."
Yeah, it did. For those who've been watching this right, again, this was supposed to come out, I think, Monday, and of course the egregious thing that happened to our local comic book shop and to the people that we both love, that Comic Asylum. But yeah, initially hearing they were bought for 3.6 billion.
Oh, I apologize. I thought it was more, but yeah, you're right. 3.6. I got I'm dyslexic on Fridays.
Numbers there. It's not good. 3.6 billion, and my initial thought was, damn, okay. They got the makers of quite literally the mascot for Xbox, which is hilarious to me because, like, people there's that comment saying before where Activision has Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, and now they're Xbox mascots, which is insane still. And granted, Master Chief is still very much an Xbox mascot. The core studio that founded Halo, that created Halo franchise, what is known today, and the procedure it is known today, and it's still being helmed forth with 343 Studios, and I think another studio. I think it's just 343 actually. Is that it's this huge juggernaut, and now Bungie, the acquisition of Bungie from Sony, man, I'm like, damn, okay, like, what does this mean? I was excited, absolutely, because like I was excited, but at the same time, I felt like it not made sense, but like it felt more natural in comparison to like the acquisition that Microsoft did with Bethesda and Activision, right? It's like, damn, they just bought Activision. Damn, they just bought freaking Fallout, and they bought Oblivion. I'm like, or no, they bought Elder Scrolls. Like, that's freaking crazy. While for me, the Bungie acquisition is like, all right, PS4 era happened. Bungie had to deal with Activision before. Activision was before for 10 years for a possible run at a series, at a franchise, and that was Bungie, and that was Destiny number 1. I was in that game. I know I played that game from like forever. That was a great starting point and then they came out with Destiny 2, never really got into it. Mostly because of Activision being Activision and try to be try to be that studio, or try to be that, the producers that try to hold back the studio. And they bought their way out about year 8 into the 10-year deal. And all during that time, Sony's been backing them. Like they've always had, I think Destiny 1 released all consoles, but they had PlayStation first, like exclusivity on certain stuff, right? You get like exclusive stuff on PlayStation for a month prior to anywhere else, and that was crazy. I think at first that that Bungie now is giving out exclusive deals per se to Sony, and going forward from that, it felt like a very not decent, but a very manageable and a very cohabitable, I guess, experience for both sides. And so it kind of made more sense to me that, like, all right, cool. This is a Sony thing that Sony's been doing for with every studio that it's bought for the last, I don't know, 20 years now of existence, or PlayStation has bought 20 or 30 years now, and that it's just them building up, their trust with the company, and just basically saying, "Hey, man, let's buy you," or something. And that's what it felt like. And so I'm excited. I'm super excited to see what they're going to do. I know that they are going to continue the Destiny franchise, as well as a new IP that's supposedly in the work. Now, if that one is going to be exclusive, that is going to be crazy. I hope it might not be, because I think there's a caveat in that decision of 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 Sony acquiring Bungie by saying that that Bungie can self-publish any game they want to, meaning that even though they're quote unquote exclusive to PlayStation, if they wanted to, they can self-publish to Xbox. They're gonna definitely self-publish to PC. I feel like Sony might actually help them publish to PC, because Sony has been making moves currently that like they bought a studio a couple months back where that studio is mainly like most of their work is porting games to PC. I think they ported games from the PS4 from Sony and posted on the PC side, and so that makes more sense to me. I feel like if when Bungie does want to self-publish or make this game on an Xbox platform, they're gonna have to do it off out of pocket, out of their own pocket, which is fine. It's like everything else is gonna be helmed though from Sony. Like they're gonna pay for every freaking project, and you're gonna get quality out of it because it's a Bungie product. And so I'm super happy for that, man. But yeah, I was just like, wow, that's a crazy thing. I didn't expect Sony to drop 3.6 billion, which is crazy to me. So yeah.
No, I didn't either. And I- you know, I really didn't see that coming. I literally had a conversation with my dad, probably right before we did the Microsoft episode,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, just didn't see it coming. I like I said, I thought Sony, much like 20th Century Fox, I looked at it from a movie standpoint. I didn't look at it
Mhm.
from a video game standpoint.
Mhm.
Um, Apple wanted Sony for two things: movie content, owning a major studio. Sony's purchase of sorry, Apple. If Apple were to purchase Sony, which still could happen,
Yeah.
Apple has trillions of dollars in in capital to levy towards a purchase of a major studio like Sony, and Sony's probably worth in the hundreds of billions. Um, you would get Sony Pictures, you would get Columbia Pictures, which would give you a massive um, Sony more recent, Columbia nearly a century of content, and all the small studios that come along with it. Then of course you get Sony Entertainment, which not only gives Apple.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. I'm coming from this vantage. Uh, Sony Entertainment would give them a video game platform.
Mhm.
Sony Technology would give them a TV department, which is what they so desperately have wanted since Steve Jobs, even before Steve Jobs passed away. Remember, like the last thing that Steve Jobs wanted to accomplish before he passed away was he wanted to make an Apple television, not just the Apple TV, the little hockey puck streaming device, which has proven to be um, more successful than originally thought. But they wanted to make a TV, and they almost had a deal with Samsung in place, and then it kind of just fell through. And people were like, "Why does anyone want an Apple TV?" But now it's coming to fruition that we're giving them hardware like a Sony television, which is Sony's usually like number 2 or number 3 when it comes to TV quality, but also would give them their computer department. Gives them battery manufacturer, gives them a computer hardware manufacturer. So there's still a possibility they could do it. I think right now there's a lot riding elsewhere for Apple. Disney would love them because obviously they want Spider-Man, much like they wanted X-Men and the Fantastic Four with 20th Century Fox, as well as the rights to Star Wars: A New Hope. But Disney's not ripe with cash right now. And then you have Amazon, who easily could pick off Sony, but Sony just kind of worked themselves into a corner where they're now in the big seat. Now they're mentioned.
Yeah.
By this one move, they now can be mentioned. Maybe not financially yet, though. If anyone has watched the ticker in the stock market, Sony has done nothing but take off the last 7 days.
Yeah.
Sony, I think, with this acquisition of Bungie, and I don't know, because this is where it gets into monopolies. This is where it gets into what you can and can't do, what's good for business, what's bad for business. Obviously, Sony would love to look at the Bungie contract and say, okay, what kind of contract does Bungie have with Microsoft? Can we make Halo exclusive now to the PlayStation 5? Can we stop? Who is the distributor? Does Bungie distribute to Microsoft, who then distributes it to the masses? It's going to have to go through the fine-tooth comb. I don't know. And the same thing with Activision, like does. Yeah. Xbox have the right to not sell or manufacture Call of Duty games for the PlayStation. That is, we'll have to wait and see. This is an interesting deal. This does move Sony into a new stratosphere of gaming. Though, Jerry, you may know this.
Just
Insomniac is going to make.
Just for quick clarification, I think one of the deals where, in order for Bungie to get their first time when they got out of the exclusivity deal with Microsoft, they had to give up Halo. They had to. That's the reason why, continually, even now, the Halo franchise has just released Halo Infinite, I think, which is Halo 6, if I remember correctly. Like yeah, and so that just released late September of last year, and so in order for, I think I was one of the stipulations before, where Halo is very much an exclusive game to Xbox, to just Microsoft. So I don't know if they'll ever be able to have a shot at owning a Halo, and I feel like they will never be able to, because that's a damn high marquee franchise for Microsoft. That'd be like if Sony tried to sell off, or that'd be like if someone tried to buy off God of War from Sony. It's not going to happen, or the probability of it is going to be so low that would ever happen per se. But yeah, just clarifying that, I think one of the stipulations that happened when Bungie first annulled their contract, or they separated from Microsoft, was that they had to give up that IP, and that's why one of the biggest reasons why when they went to Activision, they wanted sole rights of their IP. And so the deal with Activision is that if they do a 10-year deal, and at the end of your 8th year in that deal, and you want to split or whatever, that was one of the stipulations, you can keep your IP. I think that was one of the things that they were in there. So I feel like that was a thing. It would be awesome to see a Halo S type of game that's not Destiny from Bungie on Sony platforms, but then we'll see how that goes. But continue on your point, then.
No, and it pretty much that kind of just summed it up. This had ripple effects to the rest of the business world, and I know that without getting into too much politics, some may say that this kind of deal is exactly what the the FCC, the FTC, and Congress is trying to do in breaking up these large tech companies. I know the big talk right now is breaking up Facebook, which I think is impenetrable. I think Meta, which is the family company or the parent company of Facebook and Instagram and Oculus and whatnot, stupid name, by the way. They're trying to break up these big tech companies, and you look at it. It cost was it Jack Dorsey, who resigned as the CEO of Twitter, that he kind of saw the writing on the wall. But I don't think it'll get to the point of breaking up companies like Disney or Amazon or Disney or sorry, of Sony and Apple.
That's a tricky situation though, because you're basically you're asking a company to break up here in America, even though they have companies, or even though it has an entity outside of America.
Yeah.
And so that's very tricky water. It's like you want to call Sony a Japanese-based company, but they have bases, but they have buildings all across the world, right? And offices all across the world. It's to say that, oh, you can't have it here in America because you own another video game company for your video game company. It's just a weird type of thing. Now let's say if Sony was bought out by I don't know, Tesla, by freaking Elon Musk, then that might be point of contention. It's just more so like, it's just weird to think that an electronic company that bought another electronic company that makes video games to make video games. It's just a weird thing that the government right now is so fucking like, they need to like really clarify or like define what is like the tech companies. Like what do you think are the tech companies, and and how do you go about breaking them up? Like how can you break up Google type of stuff, right? But before we're near here or there before you get off on a big tangent like that.
No, and it's important to talk about it. It's very important to talk about it, and we'll talk about it more in the coming years, probably either here or of course a little cross branding here. By the way, cheap plug. We do have a tech podcast that might return this year. A buddy of mine, I'm trying to convince him to come out of retirement. His name is Anthony, and him and I used to do a podcast years ago, and so trying to convince him to come out of retirement, do a little tech podcast, and maybe do some more crossover work. But we're going to share when we do stuff like this and talk more about it's Sony and Microsoft and video games. We'll try to be more consistent about talk crossover with our talking tech audience. Going back to this deal, we mentioned a week ago in our notes, we talked about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. At the time, top 5, maybe top 10 video game companies in the world.
Yeah,
I think they were a little higher, personally, just based on Blizzard alone's portfolio. But this easily made Microsoft, who was already a video game company, Microsoft was lower than Activision. Matter of fact, so this is like marrying up. Yeah. Microsoft was like a 2, Blizzard, Activision was like a hard 7.
Yeah,
and you combine them, and they're an 8.5 now. And JR and I said that that deal made Microsoft / Activision Blizzard the number 3 video game company in the world. The number 1 being Tencent, the number 2 being Sony Entertainment.
Yep.
Does this make Sony Entertainment number 1? No,
absolutely no, not even close.
I've had that question asked. Was Sony loaded enough? Because we said in the podcast last week that Sony between 3 and 2 is still light years, and it's not Microsoft's fault. The Xbox is a good platform. It's a good system. And anyone, I know the fanboys are going to go Team PS5 or Team PlayStation, Team Xbox.
Yeah.
Both of them are good. I haven't played a Series S. I haven't played an Xbox One. I haven't played a Series X. Blah, blah, blah. The last Xbox I played on was a 360. And the 360 had its problems. Oddly enough, the last consistent piece of hardware by Microsoft was probably the original Xbox. It really didn't have any problems. The 360 was Red Ring of Death and all kinds of stuff. You had to do the penny trick and whatever. And the PlayStation really hasn't had any problems. Maybe a little overheating problem with the PS3, maybe, but
like the PS3, the original PS3, which had like the backwards compatibility, which I had, like they had a lot of heating problems before, and like other things as well. But yeah, but to continue to go on your point of like if this jump PlayStation to number one, not even fucking close, because just the fact that one, Tencent has Riot Games, a multi-billion-dollar company in itself that makes $1 billion nearly every freaking quarter. It's insane. And they've been doing that for 10 plus years. So when Call of Duty and Activision had a down year, and it has had down years, guess who's still at the top? Riot Games with League of Legends. League of Legends is a game that came out, I think, like 2011, 20 or 2012, and they've been a huge reason why Tencent has been number one, as well as a bunch of other games that are released out in China and other places, man. But dude, if Sony ever really truly want to get in the number one spot, they should have bought up Riot Games a long freaking time ago. They should get like either that one or maybe Square Enix possibly, but they're still considered a smaller studio now. The only possible player, right, in order for any of the guys, right, to go to number one, it would probably be EA or Take-Two Activision, or Take-Two Interactive. But those in itself, those companies in itself aren't, they're not looked upon as like, oh, someone could buy you. They're the ones that could buy other companies for themselves. That's how big they are. EA is huge. Take-Two Interactive, like 2K games, 2K. They had before when they had football, 2K football, the WWE games, as well as the Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is a massive seller, and so it's one of those
looking up Tencent Games, which I did not know this about Tencent. They are part owners in the developer of Fortnite.
Yeah.
So they have League of Legends. They make those style of games. They did create, alongside the Pokemon company, they created Pokemon Unite, which is actually a really good game. Yeah. They also created Call of Duty's mobile version of Modern Warfare.
They are huge.
That's huge. A massive game.
They're huge in the mobile business. They are super freaking huge. Like any mobile game that you made, other than I forget, I add this in the notes too. Who bought Bazinga? Take-Two Interactive bought Bazinga, and they are the guys who made what's that one? What's the number one selling like game for mobile?
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, yeah, they bought them. To go back into Tencent, like it was, they're the reasons why you have a lot of mobile games. Like they're the guys that gobble all these mobile developers and just release a bunch of stuff out. Call of Duty Mobile. I think they came out with I think they helped with PUBG Mobile too. There's a bunch of freaking games, man, that Tencent has made over the years, and they're just consistently beating out console games because of just how more attractive mobile gaming is, specifically in the East too, because mobile gaming is huge in Japan and huge in China, more so than consoles the last couple of years, and it's crazy. But yeah,
now I'm looking at their subsidiaries, like you said, Riot Games being one of the big one. They have a Timmy Studio Group, which makes mobile games. Turtle Rock Studios makes mobile games, I believe. And they have a whole litany of different subsidiaries. This is the Tencent company. They also operate instant messengers, Tencent QQ and WeChat, which are big time social media platforms in China, which is kind of odd for a communist country, but it's all government ran. I joked around with someone earlier this week and said, is there anyone who can take down Tencent? And I said, no, there's no one, unless the mobile gaming market just crashes.
Yeah.
But the Tencent did a great job. Is they really haven't overspent. Sony and Microsoft have overspent.
Yeah.
Sony buys Bungie. What it really, other than you have Halo and you have
Destiny.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, people could go like, I'm over it. Yeah. They've done it before. Activision, Blizzard. Tomorrow, people could wake up and go like, I'm over it. I don't want to play Call of Duty anymore. You know, in this day and age where the growing now in the gaming industry, first-person shooters let's be honest, first-person shooters are always going to be a hit. But nothing is for certain. Sports games were impenetrable. Sports games were untouchable. Madden was an untouchable franchise.
Yeah.
And it is nosedived. Absolutely. It still has cultural relevance because of John Madden and what it means to the players to get that 99 rating. And it still has tournaments. But like you've said in last week's episode to reference, is that microtransactions have killed that franchise. EA Sports has, and Electronic Arts as a whole, has really microtransactioned themselves into a corner.
Yep.
Activision started doing that along with Tencent in their mobile version of Call of Duty. And it's trickled over into the mainstream game. Same thing with Fortnite. So JR, you buy Bungie, Destiny, and Halo for the most part, first person or third person, action adventure / shooter, first person shooter games.
Yeah,
Activision, Call of Duty is their big tentpole.
Yeah,
it's a first person shooter. Blizzard obviously has World of Warcraft and Warcraft and StarCraft and amongst other things.
Yeah,
are they safe? I mean, it's not a for certain. It's not a.
What are you talking about in the sense of what?
Well, it could tomorrow. Something could happen that changes the world, because remember, events like 9/11, events like tragedies like these growing numbers of shootings and stuff like that do affect video games. I know people say like, oh, blame the video games, blah, 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 but it has started to eat away. That not as many first-person shooters are being made. They've tweaked it. They've made Fortnite more goofy than it being a first-person shooter. There's not blood and gore. It's almost kind of stupid. But
I would feel like everything is the era. It's definitely the trend. Like it's the same thing we could say about movies. Like how 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right? 1990s, 1980s is all about the action star. But then quite literally after that, it was more so solely focused on like on a lot more of like, instead of the machismo, testosterone driven, big chested, half naked dude holding a machine gun, right, shooting at helicopters, it's transitioned to something different. A lot more quote unquote inclusive, or a lot more focused on like the everyman, more so focused on like just like groups or people, let's say or the movies, let's say freaking Spielberg movie of Saving Private Ryan, and like I feel like it's more so the era and the stage or the type of fads we were in per se.
Yeah,
like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even, right? PS3 era. We've had so many freaking first-person shooters with like generic soldier guy ABC that we don't give a damn about. Just give us guns to shoot, right?
Yeah.
And now, in the last couple of years, has been trending into, mainly because of Sony, honestly, a more narrative-focused, driven type of like community where like, no, you gotta put faces, you gotta put stories to faces, and a lot of things that come from that. The first-person shooter stuff, though, to fall back on that point, or the trends now, is that microtransactions have definitely eaten away at the video game culture. in definitely in the video games. I do feel as well as that this has been talked about a lot, is that development costs has risen to the freaking roof in the last 10 years, the last 5 years even, and understandably so. We get that because with now the overall generation, the next generations, bigger graphics, higher textures, all that stuff, it costs a lot more money. In kind of the same way to make how expensive it is, when like comparison of the first Iron Man movie to the most recent Endgame movie or the most recent Avengers movie, right? The differences are crazy, and then now the expectation that you gotta hit that near that same damn dollar amount or in that ballpark just to get something more, something as just as equitable, right? And that's the same thing with gaming, man. It's just that everything's just more expensive, and so you see a lot of these game developers now going to these very shady fucking means just to survive. Loot boxes, even though they're making billions of dollars a year. Um, the season passes for games like Call of Duty, which I'm still playing, but I'm not freaking buying I'm not still not fucking buying the damn season passes, where you get a bunch of stuff if you pay a certain dollar amount. The ongoing games as a service now that Sony themselves are gonna trying to step into now, where like the game might be either free to play or there's a certain dollar amount at launch, but they want to trickle in content throughout years, and we've seen that before. It's MMOs, mass multiplayers. World of Warcraft been doing that for like the last freaking 20 years now.
Yeah, it's been at least 20 years, maybe not as long, but no,
it's been about 20 years. Yeah. So it's like these games as a service isn't a necessarily new thing, but now we see, companies like Sony and Microsoft possibly partaking in that. Microsoft itself, right? Their games as a service is basically we call it Xbox, not their live service or their streaming service for Xbox games.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of these companies now trying new ways to make cash because making games is quite literally way too freaking expensive, man. I think The Last of Us 1 or Last of Us 2 that Naughty Dog made, it cost them like $160 million or something like that for just a PS,
basically a movie budget.
Yeah, so like it doesn't surprise me, and so you see a lot of these companies just try to recoup, and I feel like it's just the trend today now because just a lot of these companies are trying to survive. And so for me, going back into the Bungie / Sony topic, it kind of makes sense for them to consolidate. It makes a lot of sense for a lot of these studios to consolidate because it's just too damn expensive to make the game that you want to make, because the expectation of players now, you buy a $400 to $500 console, so you expect better graphics. They buy a big ass freaking screen TV because they want to see that better graphics on a much better, clearer screen and all this stuff. And so it just continually feeds on this market this market driven consumerism bullcrap that we want, and understandably so. I'm not saying, but like I understand why people consolidate this. But I do want to fall back on a point that you kind of made, but without actually making it. When you said like what happens to these companies before, right? Like what happens to these trends? What happens if they fall off? These companies kind of fall off, right? If something drastic happens, right? When you talked about mass shootings, or when you talked about traumatic events, there was another question in there where I was hoping you could allude to. What happens to these companies that don't make good games, right? Because it's happened before. You talked about Activision, BioWare, and recently their games have fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Diablo 3, horrid. The recent or actually World of Warcraft the last couple of years now, and the way they've been treating their fan base, fucking horrid. Call of Duty, it's just basically you play online and that's it. You play, and even online the multiplayer is horrid because they barely balance their shit anyway. A bunch of other games, they haven't released StarCraft in 10 years now. They are not doing anything with Warcraft, the single player game. They're not doing anything with what other games they have at this point. They're not really doing anything with Overwatch. They're trying to really re-release Overwatch 2, or they have, but that is still very much a shit game that they have yet to even try to equal out their characters. And so you had a point out that I was hoping you'd make. You had a question out there that I hope you make by saying what happens to these games that might fall off. And the easy question is that they're done. One of the worst aspects of consolidation is that if you don't make money, guess what? The company that you're in can cut you off.
Yeah.
Can I've seen that happen before with EA. There was a great game studio that made Dead Space. I forgot the Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. 3 was fucking horrible, and that's probably the reason why they got canned. They're making a Dead Space game. And then but after that one, they're gonna be making a Star Wars 1313. Yeah, a Star Wars game, next gen Star Wars game. But the heads of EA wanted something, a lot more campy and goofy, and that's what led to the Star Wars Battlefront, debacle, right? Battlefront 2. And so when they canned the Star Wars 1313 game, they actually just asked the whole studio and just said, okay, we're done with the studio. And I forgot the studio's name, and that was a very brilliant fucking studio. That could possibly happen, man. Like BioWare, and it's not BioWare. BioWare. It's not BioWare. Activision, Blizzard itself. A lot of games from Blizzard that aren't necessarily making money. A lot of the studios there, they could be axed out literally tomorrow if they haven't made anything, and they haven't made anything. Nothing of note. Like the people who've made Overwatch can be gone. A lot of the people who worked for that try to work for the World of Warcraft servers, they can be gone because it's not necessarily making a lot of. Well, I can't say that World of Warcraft still not making fucking money, but like the Diablo franchise, the other stuff too, they can probably get the axe. The studios that have been making it, because it's happened many times before. A lot of game studios close way more rapidly than one would think. But
I think because the fan base too, JR, and to put a kind of a bow on this topic, and we welcome you guys commenting below even after we're done, because I get the comments and stuff sent to my phone, and I'll answer whenever I get the comments in. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, hit us up. Use hashtag PSComicsLW. Which, by the way, before I forget, I want to end on a little flex pool. I want to end on a good note. I'll talk about that in a second. But just to put a bow on this, Jared's right. They were so worried about mass productions, or they call it mass consumerism, and just get it out there and just throw it out there, and just, I don't care if it's hot garbage. Let's just get it out there and let them consume it, because even if they consume enough of it, we'll make a profit, and maybe a few will fall off. The problem is, Jerry, you're right. They did that. They're like, just make a shitty ass game, slap Call of Duty on it, and I watched a documentary on Halo, and the guys were like, people accused them of doing that. And it's like, well, no, we didn't do that. We were just up against deadlines, and we couldn't afford. It was kind of the same way, but kind of not. Was we couldn't afford to miss a deadline, so they had to get content. So it wasn't like, fuck you, consumers. We're gonna just put a shitty ass game out there just to put a shitty ass game out there. It was like, we have no choice. We have a deadline. We don't want to get sued and lose more money. And at least Bungie did a pretty good job with the Halo franchise, where games missed. They kind of made it up to fans. They would come up with an addendum game that would cost $20. There was a Halo. Reach. There was an add-on to Halo 3, and I think even a prelude to Halo 4 that were like $20.
Yeah,
I'm like,
ODST,
yeah. And it was a small game, but it was still a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
And
you know what you're getting with Bungie at the helm of the Halo franchise. Like, you know exactly what you're getting.
Bungie never really. That's the difference between Activision and Bungie. Activision and Blizzard, more Activision was like, screw you, you're gonna buy it no matter what. So you're gonna pay $60 for a game that's gonna take you 2 hours to beat. Who cares? Halo and Bungie went like, I'm sorry, we don't make the prices. Don't shoot us. the game may not be worth $60, but we'll make it up to you. We promise. Like we're gonna take care of you people. So that's the difference between the two of them. And to kind of tie about what JR said, it was like that's the difference. I think why Activision is still around because they make a shit ton of money. Bungie's still around because they make a shit ton of money and they're honest to the consumer. But
I know I don't want to try to hijack your point, but there was a point that I've totally forgot to bring up. Why do I feel like it's so much easier or more equitable for me per se? Why Sony acquired Bungie, or like the mind scope, right? Like how Sony acquired Bungie, right? In context of like how Microsoft bought Bethesda. And Activision Blizzard. Granted, the Bethesda, Activision, and Activision Blizzard are huge fucking companies, absolutely huge companies, which they bought them for billions upon billions of dollars on themselves. For both of them, though, I will say the context for where Microsoft bought both of them, both Bethesda and Activision, we're kind of on a downturn, man. Like, granted, Activision still had Call of Duty, still making millions upon millions of dollars, right? They're going through a heavy lawsuit right now. They're going through a huge plethora of like sexual assault accusations that are going through the company that tanked the hell out of them, as well as like a ongoing, of course, I talked about this 2 episodes ago, an ongoing work culture of like sexual harassment and people just like it resulted in someone's suicide. Like, it's complete shit. That's the reason why they were being. That's why Microsoft was able to buy them at such a low price, even though they overpaid, quote unquote.
Oh, absolutely.
The same thing with and Bethesda to a certain regard as well. The scandals that they have done with Fallout 76, the overall consensus of like how gamers have felt with Bethesda, a lot of their good karma in the same way. A lot of the good karma has been kind of run out in the kind of same way that CD Projekt Red was the same thing. Well, like CD Projekt Red was, for me, come on, guys who made Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077. For me, I thought they got to do no wrong, then they did something wrong, type of thing. Like, that's how like bad it was for them. What I feel though with Destiny is that like Bungie is still very much on a good track record. Granted, that's not to say that there aren't any controversies with Bungie. They had microtransactions in there as well.
They did.
They had a bunch of them, and a lot of them I can probably. I do want to levy that it's probably the Activision side that happened. That was the reason for it. And when they bought themselves out of the contract in 2020, they've just been cool. They've been doing a lot of their own content. They've been just really being honest with their consumers, with their people, and nothing bad so far. So hopefully at this point, Sony's just gonna let them just work. Just here's a bunch of money, do work, make it look great on PS5, on Sony platforms. If you want to make it for Xbox, that's on your dime, but we'll help you make it on PS5 and possibly PC, which is fine. I think that Bungie right now has a huge player base for PC gamers, and what Sony's been doing the last, I think, year now, man, is that they're trying to adopt a lot more PC game enthusiasts by releasing a bunch of their games out on PC. God of War is gonna come out on PC. God of War, a 2018 game, came out on PC. To a lot of huge praise from PC gamers and PC enthusiasts. Last of Us 2. What else? There's a zombie game that came out, Days Gone. Uncharted is gonna be on it soon, I think. Horizon Zero Dawn, the original Horizon. I'm pretty syor Horizon Forbidden West is on PC, and so it feels like the same way that Microsoft is trying to build their ecosystem of gamers around their game around Xbox Game Pass. Sony's trying to build a similar ecosystem, which they will also have their own version of Game Pass, but also try to adopt a lot more PC enthusiasts to come into their ecosphere as well. And so it's very much, both of these companies are doing very similar things, but in their own different ways. So it's still a really good thing. It just makes me want Xbox Game Pass more now, buy a PC and get Xbox Game Pass because of the value that it causes. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, cool. I understand the fact that Sony doesn't want to alienate people. they're gonna have Bungie make a third-party game or release their games on Xbox because they don't want to not disappoint Bungie, because Bungie is a great stable to have in your company, and that two, like they also want to attract people to come to the PlayStation side. So that was my thing, man. Like it's a good. I feel like it's a better move for Bungie. Bungie definitely won out of it. Bungie's not gonna Bungie is not just gonna make games, but they're also probably looking to go out of just go into different medias, or like they probably want to go into like production into like movies or TV shows, because Last of Us is coming out on HBO soon. Like that might be the driving point, and like Halo as well. From what I hear, Halo, Paramount Plus. From what I hear, Halo is a little bit more iffier. But like, if you can have a universe around the Destiny franchise. It doesn't have to. Destiny doesn't necessarily have like main characters per se, but like you can really make a universe around the or make a story around the Destiny universe, and they can add its own type of integral things. So yeah, it's a huge freaking win for Destiny. Oh, for Bungie, absolutely, man. But I know you want to show off some flexible stuff.
Yes, sir. Guys,
I'm in my place is a mess, so I can't really show mine.
And we are going to do a comic book episode next week. We're going to get back to it. There's a lot of stuff that JR and I want to talk about collecting. It can just kind of piggyback on what we've talked about over the last year or so about if you're going to collect, and now that the conventions are opening back up, what do you look for? What do you accomplish in cons? So there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. What do autographs mean to collectors and this quality of your book? So a lot of stuff we're going to talk about with the comic books next week. JR is writing one of his massive
not really, but I'll try to
kind of screenplays. No, I was kidding. JR, you guys, like I said, one of these days, we mentioned this before, whenever we hit it big and we've got hundreds of thousands of millions of people listening to us every single day, we'll create a Patreon and we'll dump all of the scripts that JR wrote onto the Patreon. So with that said, we are bringing back a segment that we haven't done in a while. It has been a day, almost a day one
staple
of this show, other than JR Soapbox, which we also haven't done in a while.
But
he kind of did a couple of weeks ago when he shit on Zack Snyder. Go back and watch that. And by the way, I'm sorry I didn't get a trailer up the last couple episodes. I'll get those back up. But we are bringing back the Flex Pool. JR promises he will bring us his Flex Pool next episode. So let's go back to a couple weeks. I do have this week's collection. Hold on.
Actually, if you can I do my soapbox as my Flex Pool?
Go ahead.
I can do my soapbox as my Flex Pool. Oh yeah, Comic Asylum. Please, guys, if you want to help out, definitely help out Comic Asylum. They do have a Whatnot. For those who don't know what the hell a Whatnot is, it is a basically like an auction type of thing. It's its own app, kind of like Instagram, but like they basically sell comics on Whatnot. It's great for individual comic book sellers, and it would definitely help out Comic Asylum that's going through their troubles right now, man. Again, like we said before,
thank you everyone who stepped up. Everyone literally from Hawaii to Washington D.C. to New York to San Diego who stepped up
to Italy as well, because I forgot her name, dude. The artist who wrote
the one who did
she
also the one who drew the now famous Silk cover. Is it Italy or is it France?
I think it's Italy. Because
I know that someone posted one of Chick's pictures on, and she said she's a French artist. Either way, we've gone. This caper has gone international.
Yeah,
and they
fuck with the wrong one.
I feel there is some breaking news that's going to take place next week. We can't discuss it.
About me whooping his ass.
I hope so.
I hope so. Fucking too.
But we'll wait for Chick to bring it to us. So, JR has been a proponent of this comic book since day one.
Oh.
I couldn't get into it.
Okay.
But I am never going to pass up a David Mack cover.
Oh.
Something Killing the Children, issues 1 through 5, reimagined in David Mack watercolors. And I cannot wait for San Diego for him to put his John Hancock on this.
Yeah, man.
That's signature, people. That's a code word for signature.
Yeah.
So that's issue number 1. This is issue number 2. JR, the character that you see here, not familiar with the book. I'm only familiar with the artist. This character, his name is
Sarah Slaughter.
That's it. You're right.
I think I remember correctly. Sarah Slaughter, yeah.
Just David Mack at his best. Just absolutely fantastic artist and chill as hell. Total cool guy.
Awesome.
Another great cover. Just again, and again, for those of you who are watching or not being able to watch it, this is a great time for you to check out our YouTube channel after you listen to the audio format and see the compilation. And maybe I will do the Flex Pool as its own video, and I'll post it on our Instagram page. I'll cut this part out. Another cool cover by David Mack. I'm trying to get the angle right. Again, Sarah Slaughter, as JR put it. David Mack. You should always support David Mack. He's
absolutely.
He's one of the good guys. Someone who should be in his own booth, and the dude goes to Artist Alley.
That's pissed me off. I would say he's easily, for me, top 20 all time.
Oh yeah.
Top 5 to 10 modern right now.
Yeah. Peach Momoko, thank you, JR, you fucking asshole, for getting me hooked on this artist.
Like I said, man, Peach is...
She's great.
Yeah. Peach is great, man. Peach is great. There's another one. Rose Besh, too, man. We've been talking about her for a very long time.
I'm going to get to her in a second because thanks to your sister, I was on the fence, and then she posted a picture, and I went, nope, I'm in. So J. Scott Campbell, can't go wrong. I will always be a fan of his. I don't care what you say about his style. Everyone's like, okay, he draws improportionate women. He draws with big asses and big tits. I don't care. Campbell, again, a guy who is easily can be a douchebag, isn't. Isn't.
No, and the thing about it too is that people would say that he draws exaggerated women curves. I'm like, he draws his wife.
All of them.
He draws his wife. What do you?
Just for those who don't know, he's been married multiple times, and he draws his wife every time.
His wife. It's like, and not only that, but have y'all not seen, for people? I understand. I'm gonna be on my soapbox, but I understand people rail on Campbell because he's probably the most recognizable one for comic books, true, specifically for Spider-Man. Other than of course, the
John
greatest,
Romita or Ditko.
Or the Godfather himself. But it's just the more modern stuff you see nowadays, right? That's more mainstream. You probably see Campbell cover somewhere, right? You like the amazing 601 cover of Mary Jane on the couch, and you see Spidey in the back. That's Campbell. And so I understand people rail on him by saying, oh, he's sexist because he has a woman drawn as in feminine form on a couch. But yeah, I get it. People rail on him to rail on him.
In the famous words of Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder, go fuck yourself. Underrated movie, by the way. Another artist deserves a lot of hype. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her work. I think she's fantastic, and she is horribly underrated as Jenny Frison.
Absolutely. She's super under. What the hell, man? It's weird that she's this.
Tell me that is not a sexy cover. That is just artwork.
Yeah.
It's just, I'd hang that in my room.
I'd buy her
in my house.
I bought her Wonder Woman covers for the last 2 years, man.
Oh my god, just the Wonder Woman run was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Now I did throw. Normally, I only get the variants, but I thought this was kind of a cool cover. I unfortunately do not know the artist's name, but I thought the cover A for Catwoman this week I just thought it was kind of a cool cover. I kept it.
Joel Jones? No, not Joel didn't do that.
Very Adam Hughes-esque, and it very easily could be Adam Hughes, though I do not see the AH on here. Iron Man run that has been going on is very.
Let me go closer. Let me see it. No, it's not Hughes.
Okay, but it is that kind of Hughes kind of touch to it.
Yeah.
This one is JR. You're gonna have to, these artists better. This is just a cool cover. And I accidentally bought 2 of them.
I have that cover.
The signature is right here.
I can't see it. That it's a familiar cover, but I just don't remember the artist's name.
So yeah, this is showing the new Batgirl / Batwoman in Batman Urban Legends #5. I liked it because, well, first off, the Batwoman, I believe this one right here is a Filipino character.
No, that should be Cassandra.
Oh, is it? Okay, I thought Chick said that was. So
Cassandra Cain now, man. Because the girls there, Cassandra Cain's a Batgirl. She's the best fucking Batgirl ever. She would fucking whoop all the goddamn bad boys at once because she has, and she's probably the only. She's possibly the only equal, if not can overpower Batman himself, because he's said it before. Cassandra Cain is awesome. They fucked her over during that stupid ass fucking Birds of Prey movie. That's why I'm pissed off at that one. And the other girl next to her is Stephanie Brown.
Okay. Yes, now another artist who I blame JR for. One of the first times I ever met JR. Arguably one of the greatest comic book covers ever done. It's a Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows. It's a damn good cover. I would put it in my top 5. Fight me on it. I don't care. Jero will agree. But he introduced me to a guy named Stanley Lau, and here's Artgerm, Vampirella, Dracula, Unholy.
Yeah.
Just Artgerm going back after it. And everyone's like, again, people will say, again, Artgerm has become kind of single-minded. I've read more about it. He struggled in the pandemic to get content out because of he lives overseas and just can't easily get his shit out. And he's doing multiple covers. Like he's doing multiple covers for a Wonder Woman or something like that. So it's like
he's quite possibly the hardest working Asian artist out there, more so than Peach Momoko, even though Peach had like a ton of freaking covers in the last year or so.
Absolutely, but the difference between Stanley Lau and Peach Momoko, and again, I don't know this for a fact, but Stanley teaches. Artgerm is a teacher at a university in Singapore.
And a lot of his artists right now are they're making art for Marvel. So
David Chu,
a bunch of like. Who else is on his? Who else is in his table at the cons? Like 2 more.
Well, David Chu has been the last couple. He's added some, but yeah, a lot of. If you go to Artgerm's page and just scroll, it was a couple of years ago. So I mean, you're going to have to go through hundreds of photos. He put like a quadrant of pictures of I can't remember who it was at the time. But it was all of his students doing their homage to. It was his students doing their touch, but art. It was like they were doing an Artgerm tribute, basically. Yeah. They were doing an Artgerm tribute.
Yeah,
and his artists are amazing. Matter of fact, one of his artists, one of his students, did a cover for me. Did a commission for me of Gwenpool holding Mjolnir, and really cool artists who sent me the digital and did the print. I actually got 2 copies of the print because one came damaged, and Beverly was her name, was willing to send me a second, and she just happened to be stateside when she sent it. So always will give her a shout out. But another one who I've just fell in love with, both Chick and I, is Maria Levette. You know her from Faithless. Here is one of her new covers from Bolero, an independent book from it's actually from Image. but just really enjoy her unique style. It is very risque. She does kind of lean towards that side. It's very much a hybrid of like anime and more like, I guess it's really, I don't want to say manga because it's not quite that, and kind of basic. It's unfinished, so to speak.
Okay.
Very rough edges and kind of sketch style. I mean, just look at it. I mean, you compare this and just the smoothness of Art Germ's work, and Art Germ is always very smooth and very airbrushed, so to speak, whereas Marie Levette is just like, she does curves, but like it's unfinished. Like you look at the on the edges of her shoulder, the inking is done short of the edge of her skin. Like it's just it looks like someone did a squat. When you look at a sketch cover, like a sketch cut variant, Marie Levette's work looks that way, but that's her finished work, and it's so unique. And I just fell in love with it. And people was like, "Well, you just like the nudity and Faithless." No, it's not even about that. It's just the difference. And just like I know with a lot of artists, kind of just go through the motions, and they get that Marvel deal or they get that DC deal to do the interior artwork for a comic and just kind of go through the motions. No one dares to be different, and that's where Peach Momoko, Art Germ, Stanley Loud, Jim Lee, a guy like going back to John Romita Jr., going back to John Romita Sr., going to a Steve Ditko, going to a Jack Kirby, going to a David Mack. They all dare to be different. What's his name? Our buddy Ryan Kincaid has a little nuances that separate him from the average Joe. They're just the guy who does the inking and the coloring. So, Joshua Middleton. Speaking of which, that's how you do a transition in radio. Boom, pull us from Midtown. Got some Joshua Middleton Wonder Woman covers. This one's a great cover. Just so good. I'll blow through these real quick. Amazing Fantasy, Volume 3, Issue number 2. Peach Momoko cover. I thought I didn't have this one. I grabbed it from Midtown. Apparently I had it, but it's always good to have a couple of copies of it. Speaking of Marie Levette, she did a book called Eros Psyche. And so I picked up a bunch of Virgin variants. This is not her cover, but this is her book. She was the creator of Eros. This artist is a Franny.
Yep. Franny, yeah, I know who she is.
I know. I think I've heard that. I think JR, you kind of turned me on to. This is a Levette Virgin variant. This again, a kind of look, and again, I know it's NSFF. NSFW is not safe for work, and it's two girls kissing, whatever. But it's the style. This one's always kind of a creepy cover. This kind of reminds me of
show it, man. Come on,
Adam Gorham. Just kind of a creepy cover. This one kind of reminded me. This one gives me it's Adolfo Mirko
Adolfo.
It had a little Ryan Kincaid kind of
Mirko and Ryan has been friends though, so like they know each other. They're fine.
Again, Miguel Mercado.
I wouldn't know.
What I like about Marie Levette is when she did this book and she did Faithless, she went really kind of out there with the partnership, because she kind of got to produce the book. So going old school, bring it back full circle. This is from 1991, Uncanny X-Men number 280. I don't see who the artist is on this cover, but it's a key issue to my Uncanny X-Men run. Just old school X-Men, love it. This kind of stuff, this was a bad Professor Xavier, but everything else on this book, God, this style looks so familiar. But they're Uncanny X-Men number 309, and last but certainly not least, JR. I I bought this. We've talked about this before. Rocking the Butts and Seats T-shirt that I got. We talked about this. We're both wrestling fans. We go back to the Attitude Era with WWE, WWF at the time, and WCW. Tony Schiavone, voice of our childhood, voice of WCW, came out with an autobiography. Got his little autograph card right here, a little lithograph of some of the AEW guys. But he did an autobiography called The Tony Schiavone Story, Butts and Seats. This is the trade paperback, the graphic novel, so to speak, of his story. It's again done comic book style. This is from Source Point Press.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys used for 111?
No.
Okay.
No, Source Point Press is a big publication.
Okay. 2 copies. Thank you, Tony Schiavone. Thank you, Kickstarter. Thank you, Dirk Manning, and whatnot. And then, of course, got the hardback cover to go with it. Got the T-shirt. And one last thing. We'll flip through this real quick. We'll end on this. This is this past week. A Valentine's Day special, Red Sonja. The virgin variant of this one is extremely rare. Even Chick didn't get it. I'm so waiting for the Old Republic series to come out. It's not been officially announced.
New Republic.
I know this is New Republic or
the High Republic.
Yeah, but Disney wants to do an Old Republic show. So they're going to go way back.
So
pre-Skywalker.
No. That would be. They want to do their version of Old Republic or the Old Republic that's already been out?
Well, we know that Dave Filoni would be attached as executive producer, so that answers that question.
This is actually pre Dave Filoni. The Old Republic has been out since like 1990 something.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying is that if there's someone who is, if Filoni is attached along with Favreau to executive produce it, he's going to use that as source material, like he has with Book of Boba Fett. But that is the top, is that they want to go deep diving. And this is why a lot of people are pushing for Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau to either take over for Kathleen Kennedy or have them be separate. There's Lucasfilms, it's the movies ran by Kathleen Kennedy, or she just runs the studio, and then basically have Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni be in charge of Star Wars.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting take for them to do that, because if they do Old Republic, that means you're gonna get a lot of old Sith that's been, I'm thinking about Old Republic KOTOR 2 then. I'm thinking that's Old Republic 2 then. That's gonna be freaking insane.
Scotty Young, can't wait for him to come back to cons. The dude's always genius. Talking about an art germ student, there he is, David Chu, right there with his cover of Red Sonja, a high variant, virgin variant. And JR, you mentioned this artist before, Besh. How do you say it?
Rose Besh.
Rose Besh. Big fan. Your sister's a big fan. I've got into this. I grabbed this one off the high variant rack at Asylum. This is a Future State Gotham 5. Yeah. Again, just super anime, kind of just in this particular version. It just kind of, I don't know. It just, maybe it's the pink or whatever, but it just kind of grabbed to me. So
colors pop like crazy. Yeah.
Great artist. A lot of stuff that pushes the envelope. I know the cover that your sister got was a virgin. By the way, cheap plug. Check out the Hangry Collector. So cheap plug. Food and comic books can't go wrong.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyways, that's the flexible JR, and I look forward to what you got, because JR, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you went over to the Asylum this past week and cleared your pool.
I have not as of yet, because I've had foot problems.
Sinner.
I've had foot problems.
That's all right, bro. No. Our boy is a 50-year-old man trapped in a 20-year-old's body. Dude had pec issues a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, so happens when you lift
Are you
a lot.
seriously flexing on me right now? Are you doing little?
I moved.
I saw. Oh, you look like you were throwing some Terry Crews flex on me. I'm like, come on, bro.
What are you talking about? No,
For
but yeah,
those who are listening to the audio format, go back and watch.
I've been wanting to go back to Comic Asylum, man. But like, I really have, dude. Just again, the things that happened in Comic Asylum. I want to go back. I want to clear out my pull, or at least take out some of my pull right now. But just my foot's been fucking me the last couple of days, man. So I've been out for a week from it.
So,
but yeah, that. Oh, I will say this though. My only flex pull of the week, I finally finished Cyberpunk 2077.
Just a shade under a decade too.
It took me a whole fucking year. Finally finished this stupid ass game. No, actually, you know what? I'll take that back. It's not a stupid ass game. It's a very unpolished game that had a lot of potential.
Yeah,
but it was just mired with bad technical ability and lack of time and polish, and probably COVID. It's a great game underneath.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff though is kind of felt forced. It's like the Keanu in it was weird. No, not really weird. Keanu in it was uninspired. I'll say that it was definitely uninspired. A lot of the other things in that game was fine. It felt a lot. It was very much a lot of fetch missions, a lot of usual stuff you find in like Far Cry games. But overall, it was a fun game. A lot of good characters in it. It just mired with bad technical abilities, horrible glitches. Didn't really look great at times. I'm waiting for the inevitable PS5 update so I can play it again to see what that actually looks like and hopefully save the game. But overall, it was a fun game. I had fun with it. It wasn't better. It's not better than Witcher 3 at all. It's not even better than most of the games that came out last year, but it's overall a good game. Just damn, it could have been so much fucking better. So was it.
Well, and we can talk about that Cyberpunk real quick. Ended on this good news. If you hadn't already heard, obviously going back to our Monday show where we talked about or talked about the asylum being broken into, is that we are happy to report that not only was a book in possession of Chick and Javale, it was never stolen, and that is Berserker #1, 1 in 1,000, signed by Keanu Reeves. They did not get it. So for those who've been asking about it, like where can we look? You do not need to look for that Berserker book. Please. By the way, for pull list members, check your text messages. Chick did put out today the list. I believe it's on the Instagram account at Comic Asylum Palm Desert.
Quick thing. Bring a book that you bought from Comic Asylum right now.
What's up?
Take out a book. Take out one of the books from Comic Asylum right now.
Oh yes.
Flip to the back.
Right here. This is what you're looking for, folks.
And for those who aren't seeing right now, on every comic book, right, or any raw book, quote unquote, right, if you flip it to the back, it shows the backing, like backing board, right?
Yeah.
What Comic Asylum has done, I freaking love they do this, is that they actually stamp their address and their name on the backing board. So it will say Comic Asylum located in this place here. Here's the number. So for anyone who possibly might have is trying to be sold a copy of a comic book, right? That's a raw, and you see the back of it, and it says Comic Asylum, right? And the person you're trying to buy it from or trying to sell it to doesn't look like a comic person, right? Necessarily, that might possibly be one of the books that have been stolen.
Yes.
So again, it's an ingenious freaking way for them to really just take stock of where their books are possibly. So, but yeah, that was freaking great.
Yeah. So again, it's on the raw books, meaning it's the ungraded, unslabbed books.
Yeah.
Those are the ones to keep an eye out for.
Yep.
The CGC books. Actually, let me look on the Instagram page.
They had some of it.
Hold on, let me see. Does she have it posted yet? She
has it posted.
It is now.
The thing about it though is that some of those books they don't remember the actual codes for, because quite honestly, they weren't expecting something of this magnitude to happen to them.
Exactly.
They didn't. Yeah, like they stole a bunch of fucking CGCs, and so they didn't really necessarily write down the UPCs for it, which is crazy, which is fucking insane. You don't expect to go in a store and steal 18, possibly 16 to 18 fucking
16
CGCs.
CGCs.
Some of them are actually marked because they are that high key market type of stuff, but like they weren't expecting someone to just fucking crash through their window, their door, and just jack all their stuff, man. So
be on the lookout. Go to Comic Asylum, Palm Desert on Instagram. The page is there now. Again, thank you guys for staying up late with us on a Friday night. Thank you guys over on Twitch. Thank you for those watching on YouTube. Again, for those who don't know, you can check it out now. We now stream our shows on our very own Twitch channel. Search out PS Comics I Love You. All of our social media accounts. PS Comics I Love the letter U on Twitter. PS Comics I Love You on Instagram. PS Comics I Love You on Facebook. Search PS Comics I Love You on YouTube. PS Comics I Love You on Twitch.tv. Of course, you can download our show on audio format where all of your podcasts are, including Spotify. We are not pulling our shit from Spotify. Right here, Joe Rogan. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and iHeartRadio. You can download as well as all other places. Go over to Anchor.fm as our official podcast webpage, Anchor.fm/PS Comics I Love You. You can click a button there to support the show as well. He is JR Kambakungan, the Dark King, aka DK, aka Flex Day, aka Leg Day, aka if you've got a foot injury. Also not JR Comics 42 on Instagram. We've got some hot deals coming at you very soon. And of course, me, the loudmouth from the south of the Coachella Valley. Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23. Yeah, I used to have a friend. We used to call him the Beast from the East Valley. So, anyways, guys, thank you. JR, we've got a busy spring. It kicks off at the tail end of winter with one of the biggest pop culture events in the world taking place literally about 9 days from now.
Yeah, pop culture events, I guess.
It is the Super Bowl.
I mean, sure, but pop culture? We
will talk. Not just about sports. We're talking about the halftime show.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like, yeah.
You think about the game, the commercials, the halftime show, the bets, the stupid crap and stuff. It's up there in the United States. It's actually, it really is a pop culture event. But we will talk about that next week.
You know how I feel about that. It's like Veterans Day for me. It's not really about veterans anymore. It's about everything else outside of veterans. So that's the thing.
Sunday, get your car at the Ford dealership on Main Street.
That's how it really is. Let's not.
Don't forget, guys, next week, Book of Boba Fett, episodes 5 through 7.
Yep.
What did we like? What did we dislike? We will talk about the nerdgasm that was episode 6. And guys, I highly recommend wherever you guys are at here in the Coachella Valley, tag your local business on Twitter or Instagram. Hit us up. Hashtag PS Comics I Love You. Hashtag FlexPool. When you post your stuff online, we will share them on our show if you guys do that. So, and we'll call out if you're not from the Valley, if you're not an Asylum customer and you buy your comics from Joe's Comics in Wichita, Kansas, and you listen to this show, tag them, send us the hashtag, DM us to post. We'll shout them out. We'll give them a shout out no matter what it is. So we recommend that. Hashtag FlexPool, hashtag PS Comics I Love You. We'll share it on our show next week. Again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting Comic Asylum. Thank you for supporting the show. Again, we recommend you going and clearing out your pull list. paying with cash if possible. Go out there and support him. Chick will be in the store tomorrow. Bring her food, bring her Starbucks. She will love you forever. And be gracious, guys. She's still very, very emotional.
Yeah.
Give her a pat on the back. Give her a little bro hug on the side. She'll appreciate that. So thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Jared, thank you as always.
Yep. I will say, there's people coming in and saying hi there and showing love. Thank you very much. But I'm watching you.
Yeah. Be aware. Be aware.
Yeah.
There's a meme going around that says, show us what burglars would see the first when you walk in your door. And then people show their dogs and it's like, hello, motherfucker. I want to do one of those videos. Like next time you think you can show us what burglars will see when they break into Comic Asylum next, and then just show either JR or Q and go like, what's up, motherfucker? So I think that'll be on Instagram very, very soon on Reels. So
that'd be fun. That'd be fun to do.
All right.
Yeah, guys. We'll see you guys
Thank
next
you
time.
Guys. I'm gonna go see Bill Burr tomorrow night. That's gonna be fun.
Bill Burr still going? Still doing? Shit.
Yeah, this is the reschedule. So
is it gonna him and his wife going, or just him?
I don't know, but me and the missus are going for an early Valentine's Day present. So
nice, man.
So all right, guys, thank you. Don't be an idiot. Be kind to your human beings. Don't steal and be around JR. He will kill you.
You and your wife. I'm just trying to imagine you and your wife going to a Bill Burr comedy
I'm a big
show.
Bill Burr fan.
Just like it's just hilarious to think about.
Bill Burr. I've been a fan of his since his days on Opie and Anthony, and when he was performing at Caroline's in New York, and when he shit on the city of Philadelphia for 15 minutes. If you guys go, if there's something you look up on YouTube this week other than our podcast, search out Bill Burr Philadelphia Opie and Anthony or something like that, and you'll find it where he just craps on the city of Philadelphia for 15 minutes. So yeah, check that out. I'm going out, check him out next week. Book of Boba Fett next week. Comic books coming next week. It's gonna be great. JR is gonna do some flex pulls. JR might flex for us. Might do a little Terry Crews. I can't do it, but guys, have a great night. Be a decent human being. Wear your damn mask and Elsweez.
Peace.